welcome you to the Learning from Authoritative Security Experiment Results, or LASER workshop. For those of you who don't yet know me, my name's David Ballinson. I am with the University of Southern California Information Sciences Institute, or USCISI. Joined back in August after spending 10 years at SRI International. And I've been involved with the LASER workshop for probably about 8 years now. LASER focuses on learning from improving cybersecurity experiment results. So all of you are cybersecurity researchers, right? And you all do experimentation as part of your work. And we would like to learn from your experimental work and help improve your experimental work. And we do this through a very highly interactive, collegial environment for discussing and learning from the experimental methodologies, the execution, the results that come out of your work. And ultimately, what we're trying to do is foster a dramatic change in the experimental paradigm for cybersecurity research and improve the quality and reporting of practice science. So another way of looking at it, there's a lot of discussion these days about reproducibility, bringing more scientific rigor. Many scientific disciplines have very rigorous and extensive peer review processes that they go through. Computer science is and they've been around for, decades, centuries. Whereas computer science is still relatively new and tends to be fairly ad hoc. So we would like to bring more rigor to the process. The problem is, safety and security challenges, thanks to all this new technology, these challenges are mounting, and the overall research to meet this has been relatively low in the grand scheme of things. If you step back and think about it, right? When I was presenting the PSRG workshop from 30 years ago, there was no internet security. It was a new thing. We had to create a group to even think about it. And so in the grand scheme of things, 3 years is not a lot of time. We haven't been around for a long time. We haven't been doing this for a long time. You saw Matthias's presentation over the decades how the technology has gradually evolved and gotten us to the point where we're at now. The lack of scientific progress is due, in part, we believe, to a number of issues. One of those is learning from and reporting on unsuccessful or unanticipated results, which means that there's a lot of repetition of past failures because we don't learn about those past failures. And so we keep repeating them over and over again. Just out of curiosity, how many of you, as part of your work, had some kind of unsuccessful or unanticipated result? Wow. That's what I would hope and expect to see. So for those on Zoom, pretty much everybody in the room raised their hands. So that's wonderful. Now, quick poll, how many of you have written a paper or reported in your papers about those unsuccessful or unanticipated results? All right, so two half hands pointing out that it got rejected, and so that's part of the challenge, right? Committees are just looking for the bright, shiny, successful results, and not necessarily all the machinations that took place that got you to that point. The second factor is adequate reporting of experiments. So making sure that we fully describe the experiments that we conducted, which enables others to more fully understand what it is we've done and potentially reproduce those results in order to see if they get similar results or different results, if that's part of the process. Repeating the experiments over and over again to ensure consistency and get the statistical significance that we need to fully support our hypotheses. And then finally, just solid experimental methodologies and execution. As you all know, it's not easy to run an experiment to control all the variables, set everything up, control all the variables, run the experiment, know that it's run the way you wanted it to run, to collect the results without perturbing the experiment, to take all that raw data, analyze it and interpret it and figure out, well, what does this really mean? And what is it that I can claim in my paper that will get it accepted? So these workshops are set up to invite you, authors of accepted NDSS and ACSAC papers, to present the experimental aspects of your work. This is a unique opportunity to do a deep dive into something that you wouldn't normally have the chance to do as part of your paper or as part of your main conference or symposium presentation. What we're encouraging you to do is lead the group in a focused discussion on the experimental approaches and methodologies. And we're also going to invite you to write new papers based on those results, which, when you think about it, that's a really unique situation, because we're going to let you write a paper about that unsuccessful or unanticipated result, and we're not going to reject it. Those will be published in post-workshop proceedings and could, in theory, be guided by the interaction and the discussions that occur here today. We do have a fairly, small and intimate group here, and I encourage you to be interactive and to have discussion, to ask each other questions about your experimental approaches, the results, how you got them, and hopefully, truly learn from and contribute to each other. So we've actually been doing this laser workshop for 10 years now, starting in 2012. My colleague, Laura Tennell, I believe she was involved at the beginning in 2012. Many of you have met Jeremy Epstein, program director from National Science Foundation, who's been at the symposium. He was also involved at the very beginning. I know Carrie Gates, our general chair, has also been involved. I joined SRI International in 2012, and pretty sure it was 2013 is when I got recruited. If not 13, then 2014, I started helping out. And the first 5 years, it was sort of a traditional workshop format where we had a call for papers, we invited submissions, and we had a program committee, we reviewed them, and we accepted some number of submissions for the program. And we even tried, we used to run this, we used to host it and run it as a NSF-sponsored workshop at SRI International's facilities in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area in Rosslyn, Virginia, for those who might be familiar. Really nice conference facility up on the 28th floor looking out over the Potomac River and all of Washington, D.C. So it was pretty cool place to have the workshop. But we even tried an experiment where we co-located it with IEEE Security and Privacy 1 year. But we found that over time, we weren't really getting the numbers and types and quality of submissions that we were interested in. We found that we got a lot of submissions from the usable security community because they're used to doing user studies and having fairly rigorous methodologies that they apply there. So we kind of had a hiatus and pondered what we could or should do, and finally came up with this brainchild that we've now done successfully for, after today, will be 7 additional workshops where we're co-located with ACSAC and NDSS and inviting all of you to come and present the results of the work that you did for the main event. I do want to point out some related work in the area of reproducibility and scientific rigor and experimentation. Take a look at the NSF-funded Cybersecurity Experimentation of the Future, or CEF study that we conducted. My colleague Laura, who's online, my colleague Terry Benzel, and I conducted back in the 2014-15 timeframe. We ran a workshop in December of 2022 to sort of revisit the whole notion of cybersecurity experimentation of the future. Our keynote speaker today is actually going to be talking about the CEF study and that particular workshop, along with a related workshop we ran on cybersecurity experimentation artifacts, so software, data, and other artifacts used as part of the experimentation. Also, want to make sure you're aware of CSET, Cybersecurity and Experimentation and Test workshop. It used to be held in conjunction with Usenix Security until they dropped workshops during and post-COVID. And so USC ISI is continuing to host and run that workshop. And there's one coming up in August of this year. There's a call for papers that's, I believe, is out or will be coming out real soon. So that might be of interest to those of you who want to do more around cybersecurity, experimentation, and test. I want to point out the search hub that we've developed under an NSF-funded project. This is basically an online catalog from cybersecurity artifacts. And presumably many of you are already familiar with a number of the cybersecurity conferences that have artifact evaluation initiatives. It started with, at least in the cybersecurity community, with ACSAC. Usenix picked it up. ACM CCS is now starting to do it. And if you were in the community meeting yesterday, you heard me mention that we'd like to initiate something with NDSS. And I talked with Patrick Traynor, who's the program chair for IEEE S&P, and he says they're intending to do something with S&P as well. So it looks like in another year or so, we may see all four of the majors plus ACSAC doing this. I also understand PETS does it. Like, sure, there's others in there. I'm really focusing on the main ones. And then also, a lot of people refer back to this U.S. National Academies of Science study on reproducibility, and that's sort of part of the impetus overall for doing a lot of these initiatives. So I already introduced myself, my colleague Laura Tennell, who's online. So we're the main organizers. I do real quick want to go around and give each of you, since we're a fairly small audience, and I still have 15 minutes. Laura, I saw your text message that it was hard to hear. Are you still having trouble hearing me?
I can hear a little better. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you very well. Perfect. All right. And it's good to know you're out there. Welcome.
Yes, I am. There was another person on and they disappeared, so.
Okay. Yeah, Yelena has the link and may join it from time to time. She may have just been testing it. So what I'd like to do is just go around real quick and give everybody an opportunity to briefly introduce themselves, 15, maybe 30 seconds. Just let us know your name, sort of your affiliation, and what your interests in cybersecurity and cybersecurity experimentation might be. So just as an example, David Ballinson, Associate Director of the Network and Cybersecurity Division at USC ISI, and I have a broad-based background in cybersecurity and privacy. I'm mostly interested in critical infrastructure protection, automotive cybersecurity, and experimentation. So with that, I'll go to my colleague Wes Harnaker and ask him to, I should probably test my,
All right, thanks. I'm Wes Hardiker, USC ISI, also along with Dave. I am, besides a volunteer photographer, I'm a computer scientist at ISI. I've been working 30 years in internet protocol security, primarily concentrating on network management, DNS, and other fundamental aspects of securing existing protocols.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Filippo. I'm associate professor at DePaul, and I'm interested in human subject research, but also mixed method research that deals with misinformation, social engineering, and anything that will make IRB hair stand up. So, hi, I'm Theo. I'm from the Research Center Trustworthy Data Science and Security, which is a newly founded institute in Dortmund in Germany. And yeah, we're focusing on cybersecurity from different perspectives, from technical disciplines like computer science, from statistics, data science, but also from psychology. And I'm personally interested in online privacy, how people share data when interacting with online environments, both from an HCI perspective, but also technically. Yeah.
Hello everyone, I'm Thong Lee, a second year PhD student at Virginia Tech. I work in topics related to applied cryptography, searchable encryption. Yesterday I had a presentation about proof of retrievability. Nice to see you here.
Hi, my name is Yoshi. Well, Yoshimichi Nakatsuka, but I go by Yoshi. I am a sixth year PhD student at UCI. I just defended my thesis last week. And I'm mostly interested in the cross-section between web security and privacy and confidential computing and trustworthy computing.
Hi, let me stand up. I realized that the pillar give me very good privacy. Okay, I'm Jen Kai from National University of Singapore. I'm doing research in system and software security. We have actually a lot of collaboration with ISI. We actually have a database setup lab in Singapore. We are actually developing solutions to automate the experimentation. We want to make the experimentation sort of as code can be executed, reproduced, debugged, and extended, make it adaptive to the environment. That's our current goal. I think my interest of the setting up the lab and also to separate experimentation is, as David just mentioned, we want computer science to be science and step on the shoulders of giants. And then all my students come in, they fall into the hole. They need to reproduce things to build a ladder to climb up on the ground level to get started. I think that's my motivations.
Hello, I'm Jacob Newberry from KTH in Sweden. I'm a second year PhD student. I work with applying machine learning for automated network defense. So I'm thinking a lot about how to design experiments where we can test automated network defense, which involves like designing red team activity, because you need something to defend against. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Leon Böck from Germany, TU Darmstadt. I'm a sixth-year PhD student, and I primarily work on botnet measurements. I've worked on simulations in the past, creating data sets, because those are always missing.
Hey everyone, I'm Eric Pauly from Wisconsin-Madison. I'm a fourth-year PhD student. I'm primarily interested in large-scale internet measurement, and I'm sort of interested in this because, as you noted, there's a lot of negative results, especially in internet measurement. So I'm really curious to see how, people, the extended results that people found and how they design methodologies.
I encourage you to chat with my colleague Wes Hardiker during the break, because he's also involved in various aspects of internet measurement.
I'm Jacob Abbott. I'm from Indiana University. I'm a postdoc, and most of my research focuses on usable security, and I also have a lot of focus on data science, larger scale analysis, and I also have background in psychology a little bit for setting up experiments, so I also look at that.
Hello, my name is Ryunosuke Kobayashi from Japan, Waseda University. I'm still undergrad, but I started my research from 2 years ago, and I'm very interested in the cyber-physical security. Actually, I am studying on the autonomous driving or self-driving system security. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jared Chandler. I'm a sixth-year PhD student at Tufts University. My interest is in reverse engineering protocols and cyber deception. So, and to some degree, human factors, where we can kind of either mess with the attacker's mind or help the defender to make good decisions about how to secure a system.
Hi everyone, I'm Renata from TU Wien, Austria, and my current focus is IoT network protocols, both from a security and privacy perspective. Definitely also with that there are a lot of ups and downs, like with experiments and unexpected results. So yeah, very happy to attend today's award.
Okay, fantastic. So as you can see, we have a very diverse set of experiences, backgrounds, expertise, interests, yet we have this common interest that brings us together around experimentation on cybersecurity. So it's really wonderful to have all of you here. And I, again, encourage you to not be shy and to interact amongst each other. You have a sense of what each other's interested in. Notice some commonality across some of the folks. And I think you guys will find you all have a lot to share with each other. I do want to point out that we have social media, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, primarily Twitter. My colleague Laura is the Twitter queen, so she will be tweeting lots and lots. She's already found all of your tweets on your main NDSS talk. She's going to retweet them, and she'll be tweeting other things. So join her in the online discussion on Twitter, #laser2023. The workshop format, I want to emphasize that I really want this to be a true workshop in that there's discussion and interaction. I will not hesitate to sort of stop people and ask questions or ask the audience if they have any questions. I don't want to have just 45-minute presentations. So really encourage you to lead the group in a discussion of the experimental aspects of your work. The ultimate goal is to share and learn from each other. And I also want to point out that all of the abstracts and bios are linked on the program page, so you're able to learn more about each other's presentations and backgrounds from that as well. So these are the areas of interest that you've seen in the many emails that I've shared with all of you. So the kinds of things that we would really like you to highlight or expose as part of your work. What were the research questions or hypotheses that you posed? What were the methodologies that you used or developed? What was your overall experiment design? Did you use any test beds, whether simulated, emulated, virtualized, and or physical? Was there the use of specialized hardware, including CPS, IoT? I know one of our papers involves electric vehicle charging, so the EV charging stations, obviously very specialized equipment. Modeling of human behavior characteristics. A number of you mentioned that you work in the area of human behavior, and the human component of our work is always very important. Software tools that you used and or developed, approaches to validating your experiment, monitoring it, collecting the data, and then what data sets did you use or develop? What kinds of measurements or metrics were involved, and what analytical techniques did you use or develop to evaluate and come up with your experiment results and come up with your conclusions? In addition, we have what I refer to as the interesting metadata questions. So stepping back and asking questions like, did you use experimentation artifacts that you borrowed from the community? Did you attempt to replicate or reproduce results of earlier research, whether it was your own colleague or other research on the outside? What could be learned from your methodology and your experience, right? What failed, what worked, what didn't work? And, what did you learn that was unexpected or unanticipated? What did you try that did not succeed before getting to the results that you presented? And did you produce any intermediate results, including possible unsuccessful tests or experiments? So we really want to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly, so to speak here. It's meant to be a safe environment for talking about that. This is a suggested format that I shared with all of you. Please just take a few minutes to introduce the main topic of your work. Assume everyone either saw your presentation or has read your paper. And if not, they can look at it real quick now. You just need to highlight, right? You don't need to give the full presentation of what you did before. Really want you to quickly converge and focus on the experiments or the evaluations that were performed. including the areas of interest that I listed, and then switch to a group discussion of the meta questions. That's when I'm likely to step in and start asking those questions, just to make sure that that's clear. And then we'll do a wrap up. What are your next steps? Are you thinking of a post-workshop paper? What are you thinking that paper might involve? Get feedback from me and the rest of the audiences to help you line up that paper. Total of 45 minutes. You'll be amazed. It seems like a long time, especially compared to what did you have, 20 minutes? 15 plus 5, right. So this may seem like eternity. It'll go quickly. And I'll be right here, and I'll help you timing-wise. I do want to point out we are going to have you all use your own laptops. There's a USB-C connector here. There's also HDMI if you need that. We've got the wonderful AV folks in the back to help out with any issues, but it should be fairly straightforward. Also, I've been asked to ask you to please also upload your presentations to the NDSS gods. So wherever you uploaded your main NDSS presentation, upload it there too. If for some reason there's any issues here that the geeks in the back can't handle, then we can revert to their presenting it for you. But we should be okay. I'm pretty confident that we're going to be okay here. And then I also would like to get copies of the slides. So we'll be very resilient with copies of slides everywhere. This is the agenda. We're going to have 2 morning sessions that focus on paper discussions, so you can see the variety of the different topics that we're going to be exploring, all the way from GDPR and CCPA compliance enforcement to reverse engineering. Jared, congratulations on the best technical poster award. I personally thought it was cool work. I'll reveal I voted for you. I hope any of others here did too. Filippo's going to be talking about his human subject research strategies on social media misinformation, and Carlotta is going to be talking about HBB TV privacy issues. I saw the talk, and pretty interesting approaches you had to take to do your experimentation. So really interested in learning more about that. And then, as I mentioned, my colleague Yelena Murkovic will be talking about the cybersecurity experimentation in the future, and also a related artifacts workshop that she and Laura and other colleagues and I held last December and September, respectively. And then we'll wrap up with our final session where we'll have, is Theodore here? There he is. Good. Okay. Hadn't met you yet, and I think I saw your talk. And then finally, Sebastian. Is Sebastian here yet? All right. He's our last batter, so to speak, and he's the electric vehicle charging talk. So hopefully he'll get here before then. So thank you for attending and this laser experiment. These are our 3 hypotheses. I'm hoping that you can help us support these hypotheses, that you are excited about sharing your experiment methodologies, that you're interested in learning about other researchers' methodologies, and that we can all work collaboratively to improve experimental science and cybersecurity research. Any quick thoughts, comments?
Why primarily EXAC and NDSS? Could we also come to laser at one of those venues and talk about work we submitted somewhere else in the future?
So the main reason for that is because I happen to be one of the EXAC and NDSS organizers. And so I've had ready access to the organizing committees for those events. But it's an interesting question whether we could or should do something at other venues like Usenic Security, ACM CCS, or IEEE S&P. So we would have to propose, and they would have to, because they have a call for workshops. And
I was thinking if I have an experimental paper at, let's say, CCS, and then come to NDSS later and talk about it there.
So why not accept papers from other conferences here? Primarily because we have the captive audience. and the main paper is presented at the same venue. But I've had others ask about that, so that's something that Laura and I and the others might have to think about and see if there's a way to open it up.